Hey y'all, so it's time for my morning thoughts. I think maybe I'm gonna stop calling this vlogging and I'm gonna call it morning thoughts. But are my morning thoughts vlogging? I don't know, but here we are. So today's morning thoughts really come from one of the videos that I did last week. So some of you may have seen I did a video about the Coldplay CEO. And in one of, a rare occurrence, I let the internet see like my silly side, right? Most people are accustomed to knowing me like from church or in a work setting, and so you're more accustomed to like the very serious, stoic, sober version of me. And a friend of mine, almost immediately after I posted the video, she sent me a text and was laughing about it. And I was like, girl, I am over here. It's on my shirt. Sorry, my bad. I was like, girl, I'm over here nervous because, I don't normally let the public see that side of me. And she laughed and she was like, the public? Oh, I've never seen that side of you. And, we laughed about it or whatever. And I started, just kind of saying how I've been so intentional about how I share myself with the world and the parts of me that I allow to be seen. And she said, I'm shocked, but I wasn't really shocked. And I was like, oh, okay, so tell me why you weren't shocked. And she mentioned the fact that I'm a writer and I like create characters and stuff. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, epiphany. The reason that I've been able to show up as stoic and sober as I do is because I put my creativity into my writing, right? And so I am able to let that side of me out to play per se through my writing. And then when I show up in the world, I get to show up as a more mature, sober, stoic version of myself, which is also why when people meet me, they don't think, oh, I want to go hang out with her, she's probably fun. They think, oh, I want her to pray for me, because that's the side of me that, I share. Or they think I want her to publish my book, or, I want her to coach me, because that's typically all that I share. But it made me, since then to now, start thinking about how did I allow myself to go back into this self-protection thing, because that's really what it is. It's self-protecting. And I thought I'd mastered and broken out of it, but in having this thought dialogue since that last video, I see that no, girl, you need to go back to you need to work on that again. So I started digging into, okay, where did this start, right? Where did this come from? And many of you follow like the Jaden Chronicles. Jaden is my 5-year-old grandson. He's going to be 6 soon. And, we're so excited. Jaden and I have a unique relationship because we think alike. Part of why I allow Jaden to do and say a lot of the things that he does and says is because it gives me an opportunity to allow a child to explore their curiosity in a way that when I was being raised, adults did not allow. And this is not a knock, to the adults who raised me. It was just a different time. It was a different generation. But my point in saying that is I was a very, very, very curious kid. And you could not tell me something, and just because an adult said it, I was just going to accept it as, oh, this must be a fact. So, as you can imagine, I got hit in the mouth a lot as a kid. Like now, we don't backhand kids in the mouth like that, but back in my day when I was growing up, it wasn't considered abuse. It was considered a warning for being in a grown folks conversation or a warning for questioning an adult. So it didn't matter how many times they would, pop, and not hard, like they weren't busting my lip or anything like that, but a pop, a backhand. And so it didn't matter how many times they hit me, I still would keep asking the questions. And I even asked like one of my sons when he was a teenager, I was talking to a cousin of mine, and I was like, I don't know where he gets this from. Like, he only wants to respect certain adults. And she was like, do you not remember all the times that we got in trouble as a kid? And I wanted you to just shut up and you would just keep asking questions. And you would just keep going and not everybody got to get beat. And I was like, oh my God, that was me. And so in my 20s, I started to learn that people don't like that. So it wasn't just that the adults were trying to stop me from talking. as in my 20s, I was offending people, and I was saying things that I didn't think were offensive. I was just, making observations or asking questions, or I would continue to ask questions, and then people felt like I was questioning their authority, and it just became a whole thing. And it became easier for me if I just be quiet. So if I don't say anything, I won't offend anybody. If I don't ask questions, I can't seem like I know more than everybody, or I'm not questioning anyone's authority. And so I started to put that side of me, that very inquisitive, creative mind, that person that thinks outside of the box, I started to put her in a box, for lack of a better term. And I only let her, I just saw a little groundhog. He was so cute. That's how my brain works. I only let her out to play in spaces that I felt safe. So, like, growing up in my house, it was a good time. I don't care what these kids try to tell y'all now, baby. We used to be laughing. I would come home from work, literally take off my heels, take off my blazer, wash my hands, go straight into the kitchen and start like cooking, put like the meat in the oven or whatever. And then, the girls would wander into the kitchen, and before you know it, now we are singing and dancing. I mean, full on song and dance routine in the kitchen. Our kitchen in our house in California was so big, and we spent so much time, all of us in that kitchen, singing, dancing, laughing, telling jokes. I mean, it was a riot. We used to play improv, and I would like give them random scenarios, and they would act it out, especially the younger four. The older two, they were a lot of times, they were too cool. They didn't really want to do that stuff with us. But I would play Joe Jackson. I turned the younger four into a choir. Like, if my kids would let me, like if I knew my kids wouldn't have an absolute fit, I have so many videos of them singing. And Adonis used to be Bruno Mars. Like, it was a thing. Growing up in my house was so much fun because I got to let that side of me play out with my kids. And I could ask them, okay, why? Okay, explain this. Tell me more. I could go in depth. And sometimes they didn't like it either. But my point in saying this is I only allowed my family and people who were close to me to see that side of me because that's the only place that I felt safe. However, I'm not doing myself or any person who follows me any favors, right, by putting myself into a box. Because the fact is, there's somebody who needed to hear that last video that I did about the Coldplay, the CEO that was at the Coldplay concert. There's somebody who needed to hear me deliver it the way that I did. There's another Christian woman out there who needs to know that her comedy is okay. Like, your personality is okay. God made you the way that he made you, and you do not have to protect or screen out your personality. It doesn't make you more mature to put your personality into a box. There's nothing sinful about your personality. Sin comes from like your actions, character traits, fleshly nature, that you need to submit to God and submit under the blood. But there's nothing wrong with making jokes. There's nothing wrong with making jokes. Christians need to laugh more. God gave you a sense of humor. Baby, I can make up a character. I can put on accents. Like, your girl can do a lot. And so, I don't know. I guess the reason I'm sharing this, number one, because I'm thinking about it, but also because, y'all gonna see more of her. All of me. Because showing up stoic online for the last I don't know how many years ain't got me that check that I'm looking for yet. So I might as well stop hiding pieces of myself and show you all of me. All right? So that's all I wanted to say. I hope y'all having a good day. And listen, join me in the comments if you have also, especially as a Christian woman who shows up in the digital space, if you have been guilty of always showing up professional or stoic or sober because you want to be viewed a certain way and you're afraid of how people will view you if you let your personality out to play. Y'all come support me in the comments. Let me know I'm not by myself. All right. I love y'all. Bye.